Hello, everybody. Okay, it wants me to rotate my phone. Hi, sorry. I am making my son's chocolate cake today, finally. I was trying to make the video ahead of time, and then I was going to post it, but my camera stopped videotaping. So, this is the chocolate icing. It's a homemade chocolate icing, and it's been in my family for a long time. So, I was going to share with you guys how to make a homemade chocolate icing. But after I share this, I'm going to have to come knock y'all out. So, what I've already done is added 2 cups of sugar. Then you add 3 heaping tablespoons of Hershey's cocoa, unsweetened, because you do not want the sweetened because you have 2 cups of sugar in here. Okay, then you want to add 2/3 cup of milk, regular milk. You can use whole milk, you can use 2% milk, whatever milk you have on hand that you want to use, just, not buttermilk. And not cream or heavy cream, just milk. And so now that I've added all of that, now I am stirring it. When you first begin to stir it, it doesn't seem like 2/3 milk is enough. But it is. It gets liquidy, just like it is now. Now my temperature is on medium heat. So now we're just going to continue to stir this until we get till it starts boiling. Then, once it comes to a boil, we are going to add a stick of butter to it when we get it to a boil. And then we will turn the heat off when we add the butter, and then we will let the butter completely melt. And then once the butter has completely melted, then we will turn the fire back on and set our timer for 5 minutes if you want your icing to be thick. Now, the longer you let this cook, then the thicker your icing is going to be. If you don't want your icing to be as thick, then you can just set your timer for 3 minutes after you've added the butter. Okay, now as you can see, that's the boil. That's what I'm looking for right there. So now what I'm going to do is going to get my stick of butter. Oh, I meant to get the regular butter. Unsalted, or I'm going to turn my fire off. And now I'm going to stir this till my butter is melted. Salted or unsalted butter, it doesn't matter. Whatever you prefer. If I was making this, usually salted butter. And today I accidentally grabbed my Blue Bonnet regular butter. Usually what I would do is use the regular butter, Highlands butter, and I usually use the salted. So now I'm going to stir this until the butter has melted completely. And then once the butter is melted completely, then I'm going to turn my fire back on and let it come back to a boil, and then set my timer for like 5 minutes. And then once my icing is made, then I will make another video with the chocolate cake once I get everything prepped. Usually I make my icing first before I make the cake, because the icing is going to have to cool, and the longer your icing cools, then it starts to thicken up. Plus you don't want to pour a hot icing onto your cake right away. So usually by the time the cake is done and it's done cooking, then my icing is just about cooled off enough. Then I let my cake cool, and by the time my cake's cool and everything, then the icing is good and it's ready to pour onto the cake. Usually I make one big cake in a bump pan. Why do I use a bump pan? Well, I use a bump pan because it's kind of like the angel food pan. It has the little hole in the middle of it. So then when I pour the icing in there, then I can pour the icing all over the cake and then down into the, into the middle. So, okay, I think my butter is melted enough. So now I'm going to turn the fire back on. And we're going to get it back up to a boil. And once this reaches a boil, then I'm going to add the vanilla. So, I know this is a process. This is a really, really good chocolate icing, homemade chocolate icing. It's not like ganache. It's a lot better. I've never had ganache, but I hear ganache is terrible. And this isn't. My grandmother used to make this chocolate icing. This is what I grew up on, is this chocolate icing. For maybe a better tutorial of this icing, you can go to Hillbilly's Kitchen and look for the chocolate fudge recipe. Chocolate fudge icing recipe on Hillbilly's Kitchen. They have this recipe as well. It's an old-fashioned recipe. I used to think, oh, this was a one-of-a-kind recipe. It was my grandmother's recipe. But this is an old recipe, and back in the days, a lot of people got their recipes off of, out of newspaper clippings, out of the newspaper. And over the years, some of these recipes, have remained the same. And then also, people have added to old recipes, changed old recipes to make them their own. So, but this recipe hasn't changed one bit. Okay, we're about to reach a boil now. So, hello, Nathan. How are you guys doing? Alright, now I'm going to let this come up to a little bit more of a boil, and then I will add the vanilla. This is a chocolate icing for cake. It's a homemade chocolate icing. It's an old recipe. It's what I grew up on. Anytime any of us had a birthday growing up, my grandmother made this chocolate cake. Homemade chocolate cake, and she used this homemade chocolate icing. So I want it to come to a little bit more of a boil. So I want to get it a little bit, hotter. And you want to continue stirring this the whole time. You don't want to stop stirring this. And for my cousins, if they tune in, don't worry. This isn't the peanut brittle recipe. I'm not giving away the secrets. Okay, now I'm going to add my vanilla. It's about a teaspoon of vanilla. 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla. You want to add your, usually add your vanilla at the very end, because the longer it cooks, then the more that it demolishes. I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes, and I want to let this cook for 5 minutes. Really, should have added my vanilla at the very end after this had cooked for a few minutes, even after it had cooked for like 3 or 4 minutes. Then usually you'd add your vanilla, but I got ahead of myself. But that's okay, because it's still going to be the best icing you have ever had in your entire life. This is a homemade, old-fashioned chocolate fudge icing. It's kind of like making chocolate fudge, but trust me, this is not chocolate fudge. So it's almost done. And just 5 minutes of stirring. We have 4 minutes left. Just remember, the thicker you want your icing to be, the longer you will cook it, and continue to stir it while it's cooking. If you don't want your icing to be that thick, then you don't have to cook it for as long. But I am cooking mine right now for 5 minutes. And then we are done. And that is your chocolate fudge icing. This is not chocolate fudge. It is chocolate fudge icing. Old-fashioned homemade icing. I kind of enjoy making the cooking video. I might have to do this more often. But I am here in a few going to do another live video to show you how to make a homemade chocolate cake and how to make a homemade moist chocolate cake. You serve this chocolate cake and this chocolate icing at a birthday party or Thanksgiving or Christmas or any kind of family gathering, they will be flocking at your door every time you make this. I make this now for my brother on his birthday, which is coming up, I believe, in, I want to say, November. But anyways, my granddad, I'll make this for his birthday, which is in October. And I will make this for my husband's birthday, which is next month. For my birthday, I buy me a coconut cream pie. Because I am a pie person. But this chocolate cake and chocolate icing is to die for. So there's about 2 minutes left on this icing. And then I will turn the fire off when the time is up. And I will let it cool. It still does not seem that thick as you're cooking it, even though when you cook it longer, it doesn't seem like it's getting that much thicker, but as it cools, it will thicken up. Alright, well, I just turned my timer, so we're at the last few seconds of this. If you tuned in and you watched my video, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will be posting it on my YouTube channel. I will put a link to my YouTube channel in a little bit. If I can, I'll add that link to my video, so you can go onto my YouTube channel and see this video as well in a little bit. Alright, well, thank you for watching. Alright, we'll talk to you later. Bye.